Hey everyone, this is Walter, and we're back here to read more of Russell Greer's book about the time he sued Taylor Swift. At this point, I'm not sure if he's best known for that, or his constant attempts to legalize prostitution in Utah. But let's get back into it with Russell Greer's book, Why I Sued Taylor Swift. Recently, around March 8th, Russell would make a pilgrimage to the location where he lost his virginity, a brothel that has since been closed. He's pretty broken up about this. Today, I stood on hallowed grounds. The remains of the two brothels demolished last November. A Christian group lied to Dennis Hoff's trustees and bought the property without disclosing they were anti-prostitution. If your religion teaches you it's okay to lie in your business dealings to falsely obtain property just to destroy it, then fuck you and your religion. I had actually talked to said Christian group to try buying the property with investors to prevent the demolition. They refused to talk to me. As I said in the video, I will avenge you, Dennis Hoff. Dennis Hoff is, of course, the guy who owned the Moonlight Bunny Ranch. He was on the HBO show Cat House, and I guess he was a politician. Definitely a polarizing figure, and him and Russell didn't necessarily get along. He made a video, but he's hard to understand, so here's the transcript. So that there is the brothel. Right there is called the Prairie Cat Ranch. Dennis Hoff bought it in 2008. This is Appaloosa Lane in Crystal, Nevada. Now if you drive down here, there used to be another brothel called the Love Ranch South. And as you will see, they demolished that too. It was a group of Christian investors who bought the property in 2022. They lied about their intentions, and they demolished the property in November. It's extremely dishonest, like holy cow. No one has any idea how Russ intended to find investors, especially considering how many lawyers laughed him out of their office. Not a lot of professionals were willing to attach their name to this guy. Anyway, let's get back to the book. Last time we ended it when Russell received a motion to dismiss his lawsuit, basically calling him a creep and making it clear that Taylor Swift doesn't like him. This isn't true, I screamed as I read the motion on my phone while standing in the break room, which was surrounded by other companies in the building I worked in. Workers in the neighboring companies poked their heads out their doors and peeked through the windows at me to see what was going on. I forgot that I had a loud voice, but I was too stressed out to even care about how I sounded or looked. My anxiety began to kick in. My body tightened up. My head began to shrivel. I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. Why would Taylor say this about me? Recollection hit me, and I ran my mind through everything I had sent her, her agents, and her family. There was nothing weird or creepy that I had said. As I glanced at the document once more, the address of John Smith's office caught my eye. I had to confront him and find the truth. Surely, St. Taylor, America's pop princess, would not badmouth a handicapped admirer who was simply trying to get her attention to the effort he put in for her. Granted, this whole situation was unconventional, but she had accepted and been through weirder things. Maybe I should have sent her 1,989 paper cranes. Less weird. Man, he's really jealous about those little girls with the paper cranes. Reminds me of his jealousy against that squirrel on Instagram, and it's pathetic. And being a grown man sending a video of yourself crying to her is much weirder. I don't know how he can refuse to see that. Like a soldier fighting against the odds, I marched out of the elevator and went up to the front desk of John Smith's office. The receptionist, Catherine, saw my moody, determined, confused, disabled face and slowly put the phone down of the person she was talking to. She knew who I was, and she knew why I was there. I need John Smith right now, I told the young receptionist urgently. He's busy, the receptionist said, grimacing. Well, I'm not leaving until I speak to him, I said rudely. Sir, you'll have to leave. He's busy. Catherine, the receptionist, tried explaining. I was sent a very hurtful and slanderous motion. The words contained in the document do not match the person I have come to know Taylor Swift to be. Further, I did nothing wrong to that family or to her agents. To say so is defamation, I bluntly told Catherine. I will not leave until I find out what the hell is going on. Mr. Greer, leave now, or Catherine tried explaining, but my anger flared. God damn it, no! I swore at Catherine. Catherine looked at me, startled. She began to whimper. I breathed slowly, realizing my slip-up. Loud footsteps approached behind me, walking across the tiled floor. Here I am, Mr. Greer, John stated shortly. What do you want? Make it quick. I turned and looked upon Taylor Swift's new lawyer. He glared at me. Why did you lie in your document? I asked painfully, choked up. Taylor Swift wouldn't say this about a fan, let alone a disabled one. Even after all this, I kind of fail to see why being disabled should entitle you to another person's time. And if there's a legal meaning of creepy, I'm sure Russell meets it. Mr. Greer, my first and foremost duty is to my client, John Smith explained. I cannot write anything contrary to her wishes. Indeed, she did say that she was uncomfortable and that you were being incredibly invasive. How? I didn't do anything, I shouted. I did what others before me did. You are taking this incredibly personally, Mr. Greer, John shouted back. Because it meant everything to me. I began to cry. You don't know my life. You don't know the challenges I go through. I felt she could help me discover myself. She seemed genuine. Well, she doesn't like you and doesn't want to work with you, John stated. Now please leave. You'd be wise to dismiss this frivolous case and move on with your life. John Smith's words pierced my heart. I couldn't believe Taylor Swift hated me after I was kind to her and her family. I felt singled out. I felt discriminated against. Then the horror dawned on me. Taylor Swift did not want to associate with a deformed person. Obviously, she was open to people writing her. I then remembered the FedEx representative telling me about the packages in front of her parents' house. It was highly doubtful that she hated all of those packages. But the guy who went above and beyond for her and was fighting for equality was somehow labeled invasive and weird. I was at a loss for words. My stomach felt sick. I'm going to go to the news about this, I told John, shaking. I'm going to reveal what Taylor Swift did to me. Yeah, this John Smith is supposed to be the villain, but he's actually reasonable and is giving very good advice here. Russ is about to completely ruin his life by not dropping this lawsuit. Taylor Swift might be open to people writing her, but I doubt she reads most of it, let alone responding to it. Go to the news, and I will make sure they know how mentally unstable you are, John sneered. If any stations pick this up, I will ensure that this story gets swept under the rug like it never ever happened. Your choice. John and I glared each other down for what seemed like hours. It took all my strength to not do anything stupid. But my glare got thrown off as hands grabbed my shoulders. It was the building security. My heart sank. Gentlemen, John Smith called to the guards, escort Mr. Greer off the premises immediately. If he ever returns, arrest him. At once, the guards began moving me away from Smith's upscale office. This isn't fair, I protested as the guards hailed me away. I didn't do anything to Taylor Swift. I began sobbing as the guards pushed me into the elevator. Back at my house, later that night, I felt like a disaster. Sitting on my bed, my head throbbed as if on fire. I could barely move since I was in a state of deep shock. My iPhone sat on the desk in my room, playing My Sweet Lord by George Harrison. The strumming of the acoustic guitar made my heart cry. While George sang about meeting his Lord and having faith, the person whom I had placed my faith in hated me. And there was still a lawsuit against her, with a trial date for the conduct of her agents. I had no idea what I was going to do. Instantly, my stomach rattled, and I ran quickly to my garbage can, throwing up. Taylor Swift had done a number on me, and I didn't know if I would make it through the night. I dropped to my knees, listening to the song play in the background as vomit dripped from my mouth. It was going to be a long night. For some reason, I have a lot of trouble typing the name John, so this has been fun. It is funny how Russell makes it out that the lawyer is just accusing him of being mentally unstable, because crying and shouting about Taylor Swift in a law office lobby is completely normal behavior for an adult man, right? Anyway, there's about to be some backlash over this, and not for Taylor Swift. Chapter 6, When You Mess with the Queen Bee. The moment was so magical. I held on to Taylor Swift's fit waist as she had her hands on my shoulders, and we both danced to a slow song. We didn't say much, and we didn't need to. We were enjoying the moment. But then, without any warning, Taylor reached into her dress pocket and pulled out a dagger. Before I could do or say anything, she stabbed me in the heart. Breathless and in pain, I dizzily grabbed my flesh wound. Getting stabbed in the heart is not a flesh wound, Russ. And yeah, this is presumably the scene the comic is from. Red blood covered my hand. Taylor grabbed me by the throat and began choking me. Russell, Taylor said in a deep, menacing voice, I don't love you. I don't like your song. I don't like you as a person. You're hideous. You're ugly. Her words hurt me more than the stab wound did. With all my strength, I grabbed her arm, trying to remove her clench from my throat. I began to lose my breath. Her grip got tighter. My eyes widened. Just as I felt I was going to die, an explosion shook the tower and Taylor lost her balance. Like a falling tree, the tower began to tilt, and then it fell over sideways, but its lower foundation held it from completely toppling over. All of the furniture and wall paintings tumbled out of the tower through the window. Fighting against gravity, I tumbled out towards the window, but managed to grab a hold of the brick edging the window. I held on to the edge for dear life. There was a 200-foot fall if I were to let go. Taylor's guitar flew at me. I ducked as the guitar brushed my hair and fell down to the ground below. Taylor gravitated in the air above me. Her eyes glowed blood red. As I struggled to hang on to the edge, I was unsure what I had done to invoke her wrath and hatred. Ever since I had discovered her music in that jail cell, her songs consisted of a main theme, heartbreak. Taylor had always sung of love falling through, of guys being trouble. This was reflected in her personal life. All of her rich A-lister boyfriends had left her high and dry and only got with her because of their money and fame. Not because they cared about her per se. They only offered her fake and pretentious things. I, on the other hand, had actually shown Taylor that I was real and legit. Despite Chris messing up my song, I stood by the composition of my song. It was a good composition for what I was trying to accomplish. Somehow, though, paper cranes were better received and weren't intrusive on the Swifts. Still, what the hell is one supposed to do with 1,989 paper cranes? I would honestly be pissed if somebody sent me 1,989 paper cranes. Taylor Swift sings about heartbreak because it makes her money. And him saying his song was theoretically good is crazy because of just how bad it was. He seems to think he knows her better without meeting her than people who've actually dated her, which makes zero sense. Quickly, I awoke from my dream and gasped for air. As I caught my breath, a sick and bitter realization overwhelmed me. Taylor Swift hated me. And to my surprise, a feeling of anger began to swell in me. As a side note, I don't do well with people slandering good intentions. A thought came to mind that honestly surprised me. I hated the woman I had loved. I hated Taylor Swift. My blood boiled as I tried to get Taylor Swift off of my mind. It would prove to be easier said than done. With a regular person, if you have a falling out with him or her, you could just block them on social media and block their number, and naturally, they will eventually disappear. When a world-famous celebrity despises you, though, forgetting about them is next to impossible. Everywhere you go, you see their face on products, you hear their songs on the radio and music streaming platforms, you see them featured on the cover of gossip magazines, and it's almost like said celebrity is mocking you, laughing at you everywhere you go, rubbing it in your face that your efforts were stupid, that you are stupid. It makes you almost want to curl up in bed and avoid all activity, just so that you can avoid seeing the celebrity that hates you. That's how it was for me the first few weeks of knowing that Taylor Swift hated me. It's really not surprising that Russell immediately decided he hated her. He's always gotten angry toward women who reject him, including his so-called senior prank. The shock from knowing that Taylor Swift disliked me never wore off. Instead, the shock evolved into a lingering pain that consumed my entire body. I began to lose sleep over Taylor. When I went to work, my eyes were bloodshot and my body was groggy. Food began to lose taste. Water became sour. Things that I once found beautiful became displeasing to my eyes. The effects from the pain soon extended to my mental state. The roommate that I lived with would tell me that he would often hear me talking to myself. I even caught myself talking to myself. I would blurt out random things at random times, and I would curse the name of Taylor Swift. This version of Russell reminds me of Mojo Jojo. Some readers may be holding up their hands, calling for a timeout, confused how I could be talking about a mental breakdown, when the title of this book says that I became falsely known as crazy. How could it be false when you admit to it on paper, a reader might ask. The title refers to falsely because I don't consider myself to be crazy. I had good reason to have a breakdown. I didn't go crazy for no reason. I had a mental fall through. That's why it's false to consider me to be crazy, as I am a pretty normal person with a sound mind. I just went through a hard time. Blame it on my anxiety and the sudden impact of knowing my celebrity crush hated me, I guess. This pain was too much to hold in. Being a somewhat big social media guy, I decided to write the truth of what happened with Taylor and how there was a lawsuit against her. My goal with advertising the lawsuit was to bring awareness to an unfair situation since John Smith threatened to quash me if I went to the news stations. And boy did it cause controversy. My number of friends, who were more like acquaintances, on Facebook decreased significantly. Friends of other social media friends were trying to add me on social media, only to tell me how dumb I was. Since Facebook invented the emoticon reaction buttons, haha faces plagued my posts. Nobody wanted to accept the fact that Taylor Swift would say this about a person. She was everybody's hero, their idol, their pop princess, their queen bee. Okay, Russell is just about to be discovered by internet trolls, something that plagues him to this day. As does the haha react, of course. But that is about all the time I have for you today. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please give it a like. If you have something to say, make sure you let me hear it in the comments. These videos don't get a lot of views, but I feel like a lot of people are invested in me finishing the story, and I'm enjoying it. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more of the same. Big thanks also to my awesome patrons who support me more directly over on Patreon. It really helps out. I think that's video 8 for the month, which is usually my goal, but hopefully I'll be back again before the month is over. Have a great day, everyone, and try not to piss off the Swifties.